use my my impact tool, impact driver. See if I can remove this. Doesn't look like it's going to turn. No, don't think I can get it out of there. It may unthread out of there, I'm not certain. Starting to mask it off. This is some of the more difficult areas, and I'm cutting the tape very similarly to how you would make a gasket. The sharp edge of the dial there, and I'm using a plastic hammer to cut the tape right at that edge. See how this works. This area here is a little easier. Might have been easier to do it with the X-Acto knife after all. We'll use this to crease it at least. I could do this with a brass hammer too. Brass hammer would probably be a little more effective. I don't have a brass hammer, but perhaps I'll build one when I get the lathe running. You can make almost anything on a lathe. I want those paint edges to come out nice. See, that's already covered. I can just tear that off. You don't need to get any paint up in these areas. I'm going to be hand brushing this. So I don't need to cover. Well, I guess I am going to spray on the primer, so I guess I should cover the rest of that. Wanted to show a little tool I made. I don't want to get any paint in here in the machine surfaces. It's just a little wedge of wood that I cut off of some scrap. Lets me make some, let me get this piece of tape on here. Need both hands to do that. Lets me push the tape into these tight places. Makes it a little bit easier to cover. And I sharpened my X-Acto knife so it's a lot easier to trim this tape. Alright, time for some primer. This will take a while. This is supposed to be 2 coats of primer, 24 hours between coats. And unlike the stupid remodeling television programs where they just start slathering the paint on, I'm actually going to do the edges and trim the parts first. I can't believe I gotta wait 2 days to see my pretty red paint on here. Trying to lay all these parts out so that I could get to all sides of them, and also so that my overspray shoots from one part to the next. It's kind of a handy thing. Trying to get all parts covered without a run. Come down this can pretty quickly. Some areas like under here and under here, it's hard for me to get under this lip and under this lip, but I'll be turning these parts over after the paint's hardened, and I'll have a shot to get some of these other surfaces. Essentially, I'm painting all surfaces that aren't machined. This area is machined here. I was unsure of how to take that off because some of it shows and some of it doesn't. I don't think it's critical. The dial indicator goes here, so I just don't think it really matters in the accuracy of the lathe. But I certainly can't get any on any of the ways. Of course, when we do this, some imperfections in the castings show. That's okay. That's how the lathe was when it was new. Well, I think that's all I can do for 24 hours.